Hello, beautiful collective. How does it feel to be the darling of the universe right now? Because that is what you are. This collective has recently undergone a huge transformation. There's maybe like 10 to 15% left of the work to do. But really, for most people in this collective, the work is done. You are ready. And in fact, many of you have already undertaken your new debut. And the feeling that I get is a little bit of like I'm seeing exposed shoulders for someone, or perhaps that metaphor is for all of you in the sense of there is like it's like I'm feeling a little bit of like shakiness, like you're excited and a little nervous to reveal this new you. But at the same time, it's funny. It's like nobody has ever seen your shoulders before. I don't know if this is very specific for someone, but it's like you are literally exposing a part of yourself that you have kept hidden for maybe your entire life. And it is a blessing because it could not come soon enough. Like, we need it. There is someone else out there, in fact, many someones who need you to, this is going to sound so funny, but they need you to expose yourself right now in a PG sense, right? I think so anyway. But it's like there is such divine timing right now because your exposure, whatever form it's taking, whatever debut you're making, it could not come soon enough. People need to see it. People need to hear it. You are so supported right now because you have undertaken to do this work on behalf of the collective to debut yourself in this new way, to expose yourself. I really get that it feels very vulnerable and you're feeling very brave right now in bringing that vulnerability to the stage. And for some of you, that's quite literal. I see you acting. I see you singing. I see you doing stand-up comedy or playing a musical instrument. I'm seeing someone give like a science lecture or presentation on a stage. Someone's just won a grant or will be winning a grant, and the presentation may be part of being of the selection process to win that grant. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. This collective's gifts are so unique and beautiful. I'm getting the words heart harmony. And what you bring to the table is so unexpected. It's like people didn't know it was possible to do it this way until you were showing them how it's done. I'm hearing like K-pop demon hunters, like how it's done. Like, show them. You got to show them. The thing is, a lot of people make choices not because they want to, but because they don't feel they have another option. Of course, this is always an illusion, but we've all existed under this illusion for most of our lives. This collective has done the work internally to learn to recognize the illusion. And in doing so, empower themselves to remake reality in the way that aligns with their soul's mission-driven purpose here on Earth. And the thing is, you have a purpose that is both Huh. It's like it's individually tailored to you and independent of the exposure work that I'm describing right now. And yet it feeds so beautifully into that work because it is so different. We're moving into an era where everyone on the planet is going to begin to recognize their capacity to be a channeler. Because here's the thing, we already are all channelers, right? We're all already in these human bodies with a spirit body and an energy body and a whole host of other bodies that are riding multiple planes of reality at the same time. We've never not been channeling. We've never not been manifesting. That is just a fancy new word for how the laws of this universe work. We're just becoming cognizant and intentional in the thought forms that we speak into being. And that is the distinction in the kind of channeling that I am doing and that you are doing and you are teaching others to do from maybe a previous illusion or perception. How do I want to say this? This is no judgment of the past. Everything that brought us to this moment is worthy because it brought us to this moment, right? But we're undergoing an evolution where illusion is dissolving. An illusion includes the assumptions we make of life having to look a certain way, of people having to look a certain way, of spirituality having to look a certain way. The new earth that we are building as we speak is one in which spirituality is synonymous with being, as it always has been, but we are learning to recognize that. So there's no distinction between a spiritual person, a mystical person, and an ordinary person. Those are kind of, they were bridges in some ways to help those who were at the beginning of that process to gain credibility with the rest of the collective who were not yet ready to recognize this divinity in themselves. But they also have taken on kind of an ego and a hierarchy of their own. I think we've all encountered someone in a spiritual community who kind of is no different from maybe some of the other egotistical people or people caught up in the illusion of their identity that you meet in any other walk of life, in religion and politics and work, I hope you get the point I'm making here. And again, this is not trying to make a judgment or a disrespect. It's trying to create a pathway towards understanding that the future of how we interact with matter on this earth is all consciously a creation of the collective. That's what I'm hearing. So at its heart, it's just super simple. We love to overcomplicate things because that's what the mind loves to do, right? It's not bad. It's just how it works. But the beautiful thing is that we're realizing it really is that easy. Bringing into this world what you want really is that easy when you learn to get out of your own way, when you learn to be a conscious creator, when you learn to stop clinging and allow yourself to flow with the energetic resonance of where you feel guided to go, and not letting illusions dictate that only certain outcomes are valid or going to make you happy. I know I went a little bit of a different direction here, but this is like they're saying this is really super important to communicate. And they're saying, give them an explanation of an illusion. An illusion is a practiced decision of an outcome before that outcome occurs. Okay? So an illusion is, and maybe another way of saying it, it's like having a preconceived notion of what you want to, how to put it? The distinction is the level of control that you try to put on that outcome. And then the disappointment that comes when your preconceived control outcome doesn't match with the outcome that has actually manifested. And they want to draw this distinction to you because, one, this collective is probably already very familiar with this and has already been learning through process that this doesn't work exactly. But they said this is going to become one of the most important lessons you can communicate to others who are navigating the transition themselves to become conscious creators. Because a lot of, oh my goodness. Sorry, my cat is just, oh God, hold on. I have to help my cat. Okay, gosh. Speaking of outcomes, my cat definitely thought she was going to leap across onto a piece of furniture and not knock it down in the process. Okay, so yes, a lot of manifestation technique, as it is taught or so-called, sometimes gets people caught up in the idea of developing a desire and then exhibiting or overexerting control over the outcome of that desire. How else to put this? So they're saying many people feel disappointed or disillusioned by the way manifestation is being taught or communicated or spoken about because they're getting focused on the control element of the illusion rather than focusing on, I have a desire, and letting that echo out into the universe and echo back to them through the highest form that matches the frequency of that desire, which may be not what they're expecting, but may be actually better than what they're expecting. And often we get so caught up in thinking that something has to be a certain way, we're not able to recognize when the thing we want has echoed back to us from thought form into physical form, because it's not taking on the form we expected it to take. So this is a really important distinction. They are asking you as almost like scouts going out into the world and doing what you're doing with your new level of exposure. They're asking you to remember this fundamental truth and to offer compassion and, if not guidance, which in itself can sometimes verge on control, offer another way or an invitation to think about manifestation a little differently, so that people who are learning to be conscious creators can get to their desire faster and to get to a state of happiness faster, get to a state of contentment faster, get to a state of recognition of the beginning and the end of that manifestation sequence. And when they can begin to recognize the beginning and the end, the input, the output, so to speak, it's almost like a little mini reward system. It teaches us, I know it taught me, to recognize the blessing, to have the gratitude, which has kept me in alignment and focused on that inner North Star that is my own drive. So this is, I hope, a useful communication to you. I'm going to do a second video because I feel like this didn't exactly go initially where I thought it was going to go, but this came through and it was like so important. So it may be that only like 6 people need to hear this, but whichever 6 of you there are, however many, like if you're still here, then this was for you, because you have a really powerful, blessed, divinely called role to truly help humanity bridge this gap and to be a helping hand and to be a kind, compassionate soul who leads by example and invites a new way of thinking about how we, and feeling into how we bring about what we dream about. All right, I think that's enough. I'll leave it there. I love you guys. Mwah. See you in the next video.